I don't want you to be afraid to make art because there's a car driving down the street or there's a dog snoring in the room. So one thing I want to make clear while we do this is that you can make art while other things are going on. You can make art, and you should make art while your computer is running, or your phone is pinging, or you're just out of the shower, or you're getting ready to go to bed, you're brushing your hair, you're petting your dog, you're feeding your kids. You can still make art in the moments between those things. You can still make art, whether on paper or canvas or in your head, while those things are going on. So I try to include in this as many of the interruptions that I can without it being really distracting for you. I want to have more care for you than I necessarily have care for myself making the work. Making the work, things are going on all the time. Communicating to you, I'm trying to privilege you and your effort and your focus. Hi, and thank you for joining me on this episode as we try to open up ourselves and get some creative energy flowing. I know many of us right now are depressed, many of us are incredibly stressed out, and there's good reasons for that. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and there may be a lot more going on with you as an individual, specific individual. But we all go through points where we have writer's block or creative block. We all go through ennui where we don't want to do any new work, where we don't feel our work will be worth it, or we won't be able to do the work that is worth it. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through an exercise. It'll take a little less than an hour. And hopefully the exercise, if you commit to it, will let you produce some work, even if it's not the work that you want ultimately to have. It is a baby step. It is your swim after you had a heart attack in the pool. It is your next time out riding a horse after you almost got thrown. That's all that we can do. We can't make you make the art that you want to make. We can't necessarily, no one can make you a better artist either. So I'm not going to try to do that. What I'm trying to do and what I hope will happen for all of us is that we just feel a little creativity, relax a little bit, and realize that whether or not we can make the art that we want to make ultimately the most polished, perfect thing we can make, we can make something. We can put words down, we can put lines down, whatever kind of art that it is. What I need for you to do now is I need you to get a pen and some paper or a stylus and tablet, whatever you work with, but something that you can write and draw on. And for the time being, I don't want you to type. I love typing. I have arthritis. My hands hurt a lot from many things. I've been keyboard friendly since I was very little. I had permission when I was in grade school to use a typewriter at school because my hands would hurt from trying to write with a pen or a pencil. But for right now, I want us to stick with some kind of stylus, be it a pen, be it a pencil, be it an electronic stylus. Okay, so get those together. Find yourself a nice flat table surface of some kind, a desk. It can be a lap desk, can be a kitchen table, can be a work desk, bedside nightstand. If it's got a flat open surface, something you can put your paper or your tablet or your notebook on and work on, and somewhere that you can sit and put your feet down on the floor, flat on the floor. Rooting yourself is underrated, I think. There is some energy having, your feet up on your tiptoes or kicked up onto something so that they're elevated, but feet flat on the floor has a psychological effect. It has a genuine rooting effect. And it affects your blood pressure. We know this. So, for the time being, while you're doing this exercise, try to keep your feet flat on the ground, flat on the floor. Keep your work in front of you. And we're going to see if we can get past whatever is holding you up without addressing it specifically. I'm not psychoanalyzing anyone in specific. We're going to push through and we're going to do some art. So, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at your piece of paper, whether that's a notebook page, a piece of loose leaf paper, something in a tablet, a screen on a tab. So the first thing I want you to do, so now I want you to put your piece of paper or your notebook, your tablet, flat down on the table, and I want you to just look at your quote-unquote blank page. I want you to really look at that blank page. And it may feel like you can't fill that with words or you can't fill that with art. It may feel like even the first line that you make, the first dot that you make is a mistake, is too much. Look at it. It's clean, it's pristine, it's blank. But it's not blank. There's no such thing as actual blank paper. There's no such thing as an actually blank canvas. We don't have the capacity for that. The best that we have is a white canvas, a white page, but even those may have texture to them. When you look at your paper and you really look at it, you may see that it has dimples in it or lines drawn on it. It may have a watermark. Corner might be bent. There is a shape and an outline to the page. There's an edge to the page. That's part of the page. Part of your canvas is the edge of your canvas. If you're working digitally, you may be able to look close enough that you feel at least that you can see the pixels and pixelation. There may be a guide on the side or a menu somewhere floating near or over part of your page. I want you to take whatever you see in that page and put it in your head. What you see on that page is not something to be removed. It's not something to be covered up. What you see on that page is something you are going to work with. It's something that's already there for you. Someone else, without intention, did your work for you. Your work already exists on that page, and it's in those elements. White is just another color. It may not be a color scientifically. White and black are light and dark. Red, yellow, blue, green, etc. are colors. Purple may or may not be a color. Indigo may or may not be a color. But in the psychological sense, in a human sense, these all have an effect on you in the same ways. White and black don't have less of an effect on you for not being colors than green or red. So I want you to look at your page, which is probably white or mostly white. I want you to look at every variation, every variant on that page. I want you to take everything in on that page. I want you to put all of that out of your mind that I just had you put in your mind, and I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to just chill out. Just relax. You can lean your head back, you can lean your head forward, you can put your head on your hands or your elbows on the table, whatever you need to relax. Just chill out. Don't think about imperfections on the paper. Don't think about watermarks. Don't think about the shape that the page takes, whether the edges are sharp points or they're rounded. I want you to just relax. Now, when you inhale, I want you to imagine that your breath is pulling the floor up through your feet. And when you exhale, I want you to let that air go out down into the floor, into the ground. You inhale again, it pulls up through your feet, and it's the ground coming up, and it goes back down, and it goes out through your feet. In and back out. In and back out. In, back out. I want you to feel the floor pull up through your feet into your legs and back down and back out. Feel the floor pull up through your legs. Feel the floor pull up into your body and back down and back out. Feel the floor pull up through your legs. Feel the floor pull up through you and back down and back out. Feel the floor pull up through you. Feel the floor all the way to your head and back down. Feel the floor pull up through your legs, through your body, through your head. I want you to feel the floor beneath your feet, and it's just there. It's just beneath your feet. The floor is under your feet. I want you to tell me I want you to open your eyes and I want you to write down the first street you think of. Write it down right now. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Don't just write it down. The first street you think of. Whatever you call it, write that down. That's the street. What's the street? What's it called? It's the name of the street. It's the street you grew up on. It's the street near a school you went to. It is a highway, a freeway. It is a back road. It is a road from a television show. Write it down. Whatever it is, write down that street right now on your paper. Now that you've written that down, draw your street. Just draw the street. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it a big production. You're not making a hyper realistic drawing here. Draw it like you would a map you were drawing for somebody of where to go. Draw it like the map on an app on your cell phone. Whatever is easy for you, whatever is quickest for you, just draw a street. How many lanes does it have? Does it turn? Is it windy? Is it straight? That's all you got to do. Keep it very simple, very direct. Draw that right now on your paper. Write down what time of day it is on that street. You know already. You already know. So don't think about it. Don't make one up. Don't try to make up the most creative or exciting one. What time of day is it on that street? You can say something specific like 7:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can say something like late night, early morning. You can say whatever it is, early December, 3 a.m. Whatever it is, you know already. You saw it in your head, you had it in your mind. So, what time is it on that street? Write it down on your paper right now. Now that you know what time it is on that street and you know what street it is, I want you to write down 3 things you would hear at that time on that street. Write down the first 3 things you think of. And if you can't think of anything, make it up and just write something. Point is not to think this over and over and over. Write it right now. Right now, write down 3 things you can hear on that street at that time. You have a place, and you have a time, and you have a tone. You have atmosphere. Those sounds are atmospheric sounds. Those sounds tell us how to feel in this time and this place. So right now you already have a complete thought, complete setting. You have a complete moment. You have created a still life of this place. You've created a landscape, and you maybe have only used 4 words to do so. In a way, you use that one simple drawing that you did, that simple cartoon that you did contains everything that you have written down. Whether or not it's represented in the drawing, you know it's there now. And so for you, it's there. So once again, I'm going to ask you, put your feet flat on the floor, take your pen in your hand, put your hands on either side of your paper so you know where your paper or your tablet or your notebook is. And I want you to close your eyes. But I want you to keep your face facing forward. Look straight forward into the back of your eyelids. Just close your eyes and look forward and sit there. All right, so you have your hands on your surface, your hands on your table, you have your pen in one of your hands, you have your tablet, your notebook there between your hands, you know where it is. I want you to think of the kind of person who annoys you. Not a terrible person, not an evil person, the kind of person who gets on your nerves, the kind of person who bothers you, even if they are technically probably not really doing anything bad. In order to do this, you really have to think about yourself. This is a revelation of issues that you have more than it is about the person that you're creating or the caricature of people that you are creating. And you don't have to admit it to me. You don't have to admit it to anyone. You don't have to tell anyone that you have an issue with people who have physical injuries, who are publicly displaying them. You don't have to tell anybody that you have an issue with tall people or short people, that you feel uncomfortable with someone who is particularly chesty, or you feel awkward around people who are very good looking, or you feel annoyed when you are on the bus or in a waiting room and someone has on strong perfume, or you don't like it when people have too many tattoos, and maybe for you, one tattoo is too many tattoos. This is your stuff to work out. You can get a therapist, you can deal with this stuff. You probably should deal with this stuff, but we all have some kind of hang up about some kind of people. And we know consciously when we remind ourselves they aren't doing anything. They didn't do anything wrong. They're not hurting anybody. But it bugs us. So I want you to think of that kind of person, and I want you to think of the details that make you annoyed or make you worried or frustrated. Who's really hard to sit next to somewhere or to have an impromptu conversation with? For me, and I'll show you my drawings, I have issue with people who flex a lot, and I mean that both flexing their muscles, but also leaning into you and trying to be tough, trying to be hard about things, trying to challenge you about things. It just gets on my nerves. It's always got on my nerves. And I understand that a lot of them are self conscious. For some people, they were told or they have come to believe that this makes them look strong or confident, that they feel that they're going to get what they want because they've adapted this posture. It just bugs me. It annoys me. I kind of write people off after they've done it, even as I tell myself I shouldn't, and I should attend to them, I should listen to them and care about them as human beings. That's my own issue. I'm tiny and have a short temper, so that's my own stuff to work through. You have yours. So I want you now, you got that person, you have those details in your mind, pick up your pencil, your pen, and without opening your eyes, put it on your paper wherever it lands, wherever the tip ends, put it on the paper. And I want you to start drawing the shape of that person. Doesn't matter if you draw a stick figure, if you draw an outline of a body, if you just draw an oval and try to put some eyes and a nose and a mouth in there. I want you to draw the kind of person that gets on your nerves, the kind of person that unfairly annoys you, that annoys specifically you. I want you to try to draw that person as quick as you can. Just draw, don't open your eyes. If the eyes and the nose are not in the face, if you accidentally drew three arms, if you accidentally drew a stick figure and one leg is way longer than the other, it does not matter. I want you to just, with your eyes closed, draw the shape of the kind of person that gets on your nerves. Okay, now open your eyes and you can look at what you've drawn. This is mine up on the screen, so you can see what I drew. And hopefully from your drawing, you can see some of the stuff you meant to put in there, and you can kind of see the ghost of your annoyance, the specter of your annoyance. So now what I want you to do is I want you to draw over that or next to that a new version and try to add not necessarily more detail, but more shape. I want you to shape the kind of person that gets on your nerves, and I want you to draw it as fast as you can. You're going to have about 15-20 seconds to draw this, so don't worry about a hyper detailed thing. Don't try to make a specific person, because if you make a specific person, they will see it eventually somehow. That's just how bad luck works. So right now, just draw a caricature kind of person that gets on your nerves. Don't make them look like somebody sitting next to you. They're going to hit you in the arm. Just draw the kind of person that gets on your nerves. And now, in the next about 15-20 seconds, I want you to do it again. I want you to draw it again. I want you to draw full body if you can. Just quick as anything, just draw a full body drawing of that person, that kind of person. Doesn't matter if the details look different, doesn't matter if they should look different. Every one of these is probably going to look radically different, but they're all the same kind of person. So go ahead and draw. You can draw the body first. You can draw shoes first if that's how you're comfortable with it. You can draw arms. You don't have to draw hands. If you don't like drawing feet, don't draw feet. But try to get legs, arms, a body, and a head in there. Put some features on that head. Put some eyes on there. Put a mouth on there. Put some hair on there. I think it's easy for us to get hung up and think that if I'm a writer, I shouldn't draw. If I am a visual artist, I should not try to write. But all of these forms, as far as I'm concerned, need the other forms. In order to draw, we need to understand music. In order to make music, we need to understand writing. In order to understand writing, we need to understand amusement parks. We need to understand cartoons. We need to understand singing and laughing and crying. And these are all arts. These are all forms of art. I think some of the best creative work comes out of that understanding of other forms, and we just find the form that works best for us and that works best for the material and for the purposes that we create the material for. A few times a week, every week on social media, I post what I call de-stresses, which are visual art that I do that are meant to be transient. They're meant to be temporary. They're not finished pieces. They will never be finished pieces. Some of them only really mean what I want them to mean to me, and I know that ahead of time. There are some that I do that I think are hilarious, and I will get care reacts on Facebook, or I will get condolences on Blue Sky from them. And I want to say to people, no, this was really funny. It's a joke about pie, or it's a pun, but something in it hit them in a different way, and I think that's great. That's a perfect reason for me for not finishing them, because if I finished them, if I thought about it and polished it and I made it aimed it directly, there wouldn't be a lot to surprise me in people's reactions. And by doing these and putting them out there, I hope, one, I'm showing people that you can just make art and do art, and it doesn't have to ever be finished or perfect. But also that the audience reaction to what you make is out of your hands. It's not the primary thing you need to worry about. If you're making art and it's solicited by someone who's paying you, if you're making art for a specific purpose or a specific agenda, you have to aim it more, and you may want to polish it more in certain directions. But I think most art of any medium is overly polished. I think most art is overly edited. And I think in general, really, we will never completely anticipate what an audience is going to do, how an audience is going to react. And there are audiences we can't plan on. There are audiences we don't think of that are going to come to the work, and we may want them to have a certain reaction, but we don't know if they're going to or not. So, especially if you're already hung up and you're already stressed out and you already don't want to do this, that whole part of the art making process is just going to make things worse. It's never going to make things better. So what we're doing today, what we're doing with this exercise is just for us. I would highly recommend that you show it to someone else. You show it to a lot of people, you show it to one person, but you never have to. This is just for you. It's just an exercise, and you can push it all out after you're done, and you can throw it away or delete it, and you never have to deal with it again. It's gone. You may think, well, I am a musician, I'm a writer, I'm not a good visual artist, and you're going to make me draw. I'm not a writer, I am a painter, I'm a sculptor. Why are you making me use words? Because you use words and visual art every day anyway. Every one of you has written a grocery list. Every one of you has made a reminder note. Every one of you took a test in school at some point. Every one of you has drawn directions for somebody or doodled in the margin of a notebook. Something. You've all already made art. You've already written. And you do it so much without realizing that that's what you're doing, without counting that that's what you're doing. Oh, it's not real writing. It's not real art. I mean, it's physically there. And before it was physically there, it's in your head, it's in your mind, it's in your actions. That's real. What's in your actions is real. What's on paper is real. What's in your mind, that's real. That's art. That's writing. That's all it is. So we have a place, we have a time, we have tone. Now that you have your person and you've had 3 drafts of this person in drawing and 1 in your mind, I want you to go back to that street. You know that street, you picked it, you know what time it is, you know what sounds are going on, you know what that street is like, what that street feels like. I want you to draw at the end of the street that you drew whatever is there. Your neighbor's house, your elementary school, a store, the mortuary that Herman Munster works at in the Munsters, whatever it is, just draw it. You can draw a sign, you can draw a generic house, and you know that that's your third girlfriend's house from high school, but it doesn't look like that house. It's just a generic house that you drew, but you know what it is. So draw that there. You can label it if you want to. It's at the end of that street. Where does that street lead to? If it's a street from your dreams, a street from your imagination, you know where that goes. You know where that ends up. So draw that as quick as you can. Blah, blah, blah. It's done. Right? The important thing here is that we push through everything. If you can't think of something, don't try to think of the most artistic, the most beautiful way, the most psychologically relevant way, the most genre-based way. Just put something down. So you have your place. Now, I want you to take your character that you made up, your person that you made up, and I want you to put them on that street. I want you to draw them on that street. They can be walking, they can be riding a bike, they can be on a motorcycle, they can be in a bus, they can be in a car, they can be in the back seat of a car. But they're on that street somewhere. They're on the sidewalk next to it. They're right there out on the pavement. They're right down the middle of the yellow line. Whatever it is, draw them on the street. And try to remember, this is a person that gets on your nerves. This is a person, the kind of person that if you saw them, it would just bug you as soon as you saw them. As soon as you had to deal with them, it would just bug you. So you're putting that person on this street that you already know, that you have in your mind, that you have on your paper. And this person is going to the place at the end of this street. This person, the kind of person who just gets on your nerves, is going to the place at the end of your street. So now you should have a very simple cartoon of this person walking down the street or driving down the street or riding down the street, going to a place. And you know what they are hearing, you know what they are doing, you have an idea of how cold or how hot it is, what it feels like. You have an idea of what's around them. So what I want you to do now is I want you to write very quickly 3 different things that are going on in that situation. It's hot, it's cold, it's bright, it's dark. There's skylights, there's street lamps, there's car lights, there's clouds, there's lightning, there's rain, there's sunshine, there's birds on the street, there's birds in the sky, there's puke on the sidewalk, whatever it is, 3 things that are there with them, 3 things that are there with this person as they walk towards this place at the end of the street. I want you to think specifically about light and shadow and how light and shadow are on this person and how they move across or over this person. Is the light from above them? Is the light from in front of them? Is it light from the side? Are cars passing them and their high beams are throwing light over them? Is there a police siren going and it's blue and red and blue and red across them? Are they in shadow until they step away from an awning and then they're in light. How is the light moving over them? How are shadows moving over them? I want you to write that down as quickly as you can. Don't make it a whole paragraph. Don't even try to make it a sentence. Just write down how shadow and light move across them, what kind of light, how strong the light is, however it feels to you. Just write that down as quickly as you can. How does light and shadow move over this person? So we know this person really well at this point, at least from an outside perspective. We may not have their personality, we may not know their relationship to anybody, but we know what they look like, we know where they are, we know what time they are there, we know what they are hearing, we know what they are seeing, we know a lot about them. That's a lot to know about somebody that you don't know. So you have a fully formed character, you have a fully formed setting, you have a fully formed atmosphere at this point. That's more than enough to make a painting. That's more than enough to write a vignette. That's more than enough to write a poem. That's more than enough to make a song. You have a lot going on here. So you've made huge steps. It may not feel that way, and it may feel mechanical, it may feel immature, but this is a piece. You could stop here. We're not going to stop here. What I want you to do now is, in huge, huge letters, I want you to write one or two words. I want you to write in huge letters, as big as you can, a smell that would get your attention. No matter where you are, no matter what's going on, what's a smell that would get your attention? Write it down right now, first thing. If you don't have one, make it up. I can't tell you made it up. Nobody else can tell you made it up. Write it down. What's the smell that will get your attention? And you can see that I put down peaches. You can also tell that I put my glasses on at some point because I can't see without my glasses. And I try to do part of these without them so there's not reflections, there's not glare, it's not an issue. But at some point, I put them on. And that is the kind of structural detail that I mean. That is a kind of element that we may not think of as a big thing, whether a character has glasses or not. We may not think of, oh, there's no psychological reason for it. There's no metaphor there, so they should or they shouldn't wear glasses. Sometimes people just need to wear glasses. There is no story reason that I have this lamp behind me. There's not even an atmospheric reason. It's there because without that light here, it's hard to see in this part of the house. So there's a lamp. And that's mostly why lamps are anywhere, right? So don't worry about the psychological, the Freudian, the Jungian reason to have things in. Don't worry about being witty and smart. And these things reflect a metaphor of passion or a metaphor of restraint. Your audience will see metaphors. Your audience will intuit psychological reasons for anything that you put into any art. And let them do it. Go for it. Let them work these things out. One of the best things to come out of the symbolist movement is that symbols don't have to intentionally mean what an audience finds them to mean. So back to your smell that gets you your attention. Now, I put down peaches because that'll get my attention. I like the smell of peaches, but it's also a very strong smell to me. I may have a slight allergy to them, so it gets my attention. Well, whatever yours is, I hope you wrote it big. It's important. And it's important because the moment after that character smells that smell, they're hit by a truck. Just full on, direct, hit by the truck. They are probably dead. Maybe you're not sure they're dead, but it's pretty likely. If they're not dead, they're not going to make it too much longer. They're messed up. They got hit hard. They got hit full square on the moment after smelling that smell. Now here's the kicker. That character that you made up, the annoying character going down the street to the place, that is not your protagonist. Your protagonist is on the other side of the street watching that person when they get hit. And they also smelled the smell. They can hear those sounds that the person can hear. They can smell that smell. And they saw that person get hit hard, and they saw them probably get killed. Now, I want you to write down as quickly as you can who that protagonist is. Who's watching the person across the street? You can make that one word, you can make it one sentence, keep it simple. Who's that person across the street watching that person walk down the street or drive down the street or ride, whatever? Who is it? Once you have that written down on your paper, now you got a whole situation, you got a whole scenario. This is no longer a landscape or a still life. This is a situation. You now have inter-character relations. You have inter-character dynamics. These characters have a dynamic even if they have never met before or they are not meeting now. Your character can be a relative of theirs. It can be a total stranger. Do they run to help? If they have some medical training, they might run to help. If they are wanted by the police, they may avoid running for help and they may take off. But they may be wanted by the police. But they may be wanted by the police and still run to help. And anything you decide, you've made a person. There's no decisions you can make in this situation, and people can say without a doubt, oh, no one would ever be that way. No one would ever do that. Every decision you make, any decision you make, you have made a person. And so you have two people in this situation. One of them is probably dead, but they still have a history. They still had a life. They're still lying there, half alive or no longer alive, but the memory of them will live on forever. So you've made a whole scenario. You've made a whole thing. And it's about life and death and pursuit and voyeurism and smells and feelings and time and place. So reward yourself for that. Pat yourself on the back for that. This is a full piece already. This is a full structure already. We're going to take it and we're going to make it more, but this is a lot. You've done a lot already. And you did that while you have your creative block, while you're stressed out, while you're depressed, while you are unconfident. So pat yourself on the back. The details of this exercise aren't that important. I had a professor once who loved to do a similar exercise, but the change, the interaction was always about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. And I remember him getting really mad because he was like, you have a couple and this happens and this happens, and then they bring up the subject somehow, the TV or the radio or whatever brings up the subject of Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. go. And I wrote a gay male couple, and he got really mad because this is a conflict between men and women. This is about men and women, men and women. And he was super mad that I had written a gay couple. Like two guys can't have a conversation about something. That two guys can't have a conversation about something that involves women. Or that two women couldn't have that conversation. You know, at that time, it was still very much in the news, and I know he still taught that exercise that same way for like a decade after. But anyone could have that conversation, and anyone would have an opinion or a take. Everyone has a politic in that. Everyone has elements they see or elements that they saw then and they see now. There are changes in things. So it doesn't matter really the details of this exercise. The main thrust is getting information down as quickly as you can. The main thrust is getting information down as soon as you can, as directly as you can, so that you're not over worrying, you're not overthinking things, and concerning yourself with telling yourself you're not creative or you're not good enough or you're wasting your time or you're bothering something. You're wrong. Your politics are wrong. Your social awareness is wrong. There's a myth that writers or painters or poets know more about human nature than other people. It's not true. There is an idea that artists understand the universe more sincerely and more directly than non-artists. There's no such thing as a non-artist, and all artists essentially are full of it. We have to be. All people are full of it. We have to be. We're making it up. We're making stuff up. We're making ideas that work together to an end. That's it. That's all that it is. So I want you to look over your notes. I want you to look over your drawings. I want you to consider these things. You know who your protagonist is now. You know that they're looking at this person, watching them. Why are they watching them? Why do they recognize them? Was it something that drew their attention to them? Were they just at the corner of their eye, they just noticed there's a person on the street? Back when I could walk better, I walked everywhere. I walked all the time, and I walked a lot at night. And when you walk at night, you are always aware if there are other people walking on the streets at the same time you are. If you're walking at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, you are very aware of every other person that is out on the street with you. You are very aware of people, of animals, of vehicles that are around. If it's daytime and you're in a neighborhood and you see somebody you don't recognize in the neighborhood and they come near your house or they come nearby where you are, you're aware of them. You're aware of people when you pass them on the sidewalk. So they could just be casually aware, but they may also have a specific relationship. They may have a history with this person. I want you to think about those two characters, these two people. And I want you to think about your protagonist, your point of view character, and how they saw the other character, how they saw the person across the street. What's their first thought? What's their first idea about them? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take something, a candy, a piece of food, a lozenge, and I want you to, don't put it in your mouth yet, hold on to it. I want you to think about your food, your lozenge. I want you to think about your food, your lozenge, whatever this is, and I want you to put into this with your mind everything that your protagonist felt or thought when they saw that person across the street. When they first saw them, not when they got hit by the truck, but when they first saw them. What's their immediate first thought, their first feeling? And feelings are crazy. There are some people who think in words and in audible dialogue. There are some people who have a narrator in their head talking to them, telling them things. There are other people who think in words and it's like a written process in their head. I don't have either of those. I can imagine a voice. I can make a voice happen in my head with imagination, but I don't normally naturally have any kind of narrator in my head that way. My general thoughts, my general memory of things is much more related to temperature, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, smell. Those are big for me. Smell and temperature can take me back to a specific moment, a specific memory. They can get my attention in a different way. So for me, those are very strong. And something I may remember about somebody, something I may think about somebody is how they first smelled when I met them. And that can stay with me for decades. There are people I know who I haven't seen in years, or who I have seen regularly for years. And when I think of them, the first thing I think of is how they smelled when I first met them. So whatever it is that your protagonist thought or felt or had happened to them when they saw this person across the street, put it onto what you're going to put in your mouth. Put it in there. This is that moment. This is that sense. This is all that sense. Making my mouth salivate just thinking of this. Now, you're going to put it in your mouth. I'm not going to put it in my mouth because I have to talk to you, but you're going to put it in your mouth. You're going to keep it in your mouth. Now, on the back of your paper, or if you prefer to go type, you can go type now. Typing is allowed now, but either way, on the back of your paper or typing, or however you want to do it. If it's a tablet, make a new page on the tablet, make a new canvas. I want you to take all the material, your notes, basically, all the words, all the drawings, and I want you to make something of them. I want you to take 20 minutes. You can set a timer. Set a timer. Make sure you work for 20 minutes, and only for that. Don't keep going. Kill it. After 20 minutes, you're done. You're out. So write it, draw it, paint it, hum it, play it on your guitar, play it on a piano, play it on your laptop keyboard through GarageBand, whatever it is you do, whatever kind of art you make. Make that art. Make it about this. Show us this. You got 20 minutes. That's all you got. I'm going to let you go do it. I'm going to trust that you did it. I can't see if you did it or not. I can't check to see if you did it or not. So if you don't do it, I mean, shame on you, but I'll never know. So I believe in you. I believe you did it. Don't let me down. Don't let my belief be in vain. Respect my belief. Love my belief. I believe in you. So when I believe in you, you got to believe in you. So you can do this. You set your timer, set everything else aside. Just use your notes. You can go back to your notes whenever you want. You're going to make art about this. But whenever you notice what you put in your mouth, whenever it draws your attention, I want you to go back to that first thought, that first feeling that your POV had, the first feeling that your perspective in this piece had about the person across the street, I want you to call that back up in your mind, in your body. I want you to feel that again. I want you to feel that feeling rise up through your feet, through your body, just like the floor went through you, and back down again. I want you to be able to feel in this, in your mouth, the taste, the smell, the feel of it. It gets stuck between two teeth. It's up in your cheek. You have to swallow or something while you're sucking on it. Whatever it is, you got to chew finally and just chew it up. It's going to make you feel that feeling that they had when they saw this person. Okay, I'm really going to let you go now. I believe in you. You feel fully primed to me. I think you're going to make great art. I would love to see that. If you want to share it with me, if you want to share it with other people, please share it with somebody. If you want to destroy it right after, that's fine. You want to put it in a drawer and look at it 5 years from now, that's your business. You want to lie to people and tell them that your 10-year-old did it or your 5-year-old did it. That's your business. You do whatever you need to do. This is just an exercise to free you up. We all love a story about somebody made a note and threw it in a bottle in the ocean, and it went from Santa Monica, California to New York, New York. How did it get there? How did it move all the way around the world that way? But that bottle and that note can never get to the other place if you don't put the note in the bottle and throw the bottle in the ocean. That note can never get in the bottle if you never make a bottle. If somebody never makes a bottle, you never go buy a bottle, or you find a bottle, you're out of luck. So what we're doing here is we're not worrying about the world's most perfect note, the world's most perfect bottle. We're just worried about a note that can go in a bottle and can go into the ocean. And every note and every bottle ever made can pretty much be thrown into the ocean. And most of them have, which is part of why we're in the really terrible situation that we're in, that makes us so stressed and so depressed and so shut down that we don't want to make creative work. So don't worry about the quality of the bottle. Don't worry about the quality of the note. Don't worry about the quality of the world right now. Those things will largely take care of themselves and have. And if you can't stop worrying about them, put it in the art, put it in the work. Whatever you can't stop worrying about, put it in there. Whether it feels dumb to you or wrong to you, whether it feels immature to you, it's not you, it's your characters. Your characters can be dumb, they can be immature, they can be selfish, they can be limited. People are. All right, go have fun, make art. I love you.